License and registration, please. What's up?
I'm not gonna lie to you, it was a close call between this and also Need for Speed Undercover. Another reason people dislike Undercover is because they played a version that wasn't really great. They played the PS2 version, was actually completely different to the PS3 release, and that's why a lot of people got confused and like, I hate this game!
The next-gen versions of Undercover sucked. Fucking hell, what happened to you? It's a long story. No, we should talk about that. Shush! I'll explain after this. What? Tell me about how much Undercover really sucks and why it shouldn't be revindicated. Don't be harsh, you haven't played the game in years. I think you and this game are in dire need of re-evaluation. Oh good, a defender. I wish I was with someone who agrees with me, but the guy I collabed with years ago kicked me out of his Discord server because I pissed people off for too long. Bastards. Don't play victim on me. What? All I said was that suing Ubisoft was a terrible idea. Now I can't bookend the Black Box Saga with another collab. And do you actually think this game is so bad you need another one to help you out? Please, collab reviews are for suckers anyway. You've proven yourself to be a capable reviewer, so why need that kind of help? Tell you what, how about I let you review this game for once? How about you do it? I wanna hear your shitty defense of one of the worst video games of 2008. It's Undercover, not Peter's parody of Cooking Mama. Finally, after 7 years since Sophie uploaded her Underground collab review, we've reached the end of the line for the Black Box era. 7 years that could just shortened to 1 or 2 years if you weren't distracted by other stuff. We've witnessed some dizzying highs, terrifying lows, and ignorance of almost all handheld versions. Sorry. When Sophie first started this, she was getting low with the East Side Boys, crashing these cars, celebrating the B-side for winning again, riding on a white horse, and seeing the boys wanting to be her apparently. And now I want to end up 9,000 miles away from her shit. Pro Steve wasn't as much of a smash hit as EA hoped. Some fans didn't like the change in setting, moving away from street racing with cops in the mix to section ones, and demanded the series to go back. And so they did. Well, they started doing it while Pro Steve was still in development. CEO John Riccitello, you know, that cunt, announced this new entry while also saying that Pro Steve was, quote, not good. He also admitted torturing some folks, so he decided to do the Call of Duty approach of having two teams making their own NFS games, leading to the end of the Black Box era. And then tortured them more till he left the company, I assume. Look, he was the guy who thought about forcing developers to pay a fee for every Unity game installed when he was its CEO. You do not hand it to him! Originally titled The Chase during production, Need for Speed Undercover got its release in November 2008 on every system available at the time, including the PS2. And just to clarify, I'm not basing my opinions on that version. I'll be playing the PC port that's based on the PS3 and 360 versions. I am not confused. The game got some mediocre reviews on release, and fan response wasn't as good either. But it's been over 16 years since its release, so let's dive deep into the game and see if the criticism was deserved, or if it turns out that it's actually a misunderstood masterpiece that got unfairly maligned. The next-gen versions of Undercover sucked. Having played the previous 5 NFS games before this, it's really odd to see the Black Box logo showing up in the opening bit. I'm sure they must be real proud of themselves. This was also the first game in the series to have this logo, which was used right up until The Run, another Black Box game. How poetic. And while some people would rather have text telling me to drive safe than a video of an actress or pro driver telling me so, I miss the shot of these now. Need for Speed Undercover, the game that calls you mid in the loading screen. So the game starts right away after creating a save, where some guy with a 370Z escapes from the cops on the highway. First impressions are everything, and fuck my eyes! But we'll talk about that later. At least the first thing you get to see is an in-engine cutscene followed by actual gameplay. It only took 1 minute from the start of the cutscene. It's just a simple run for the highway until you hit a literal roadblock. We cut to a police station where two characters, Lieutenant Jack Keller and FBI agent Chase Lynn, are arguing at each other. Tri-City Bay is being hit by a car smuggling operation that the police department are trying to bring down, but the case went through so much shit that the FBI started getting involved. So the same guy in the Prologue run is instructed by Chase to go undercover and take down this ring once and for all. Long story short, you're playing as a pig this time. Great. And much like Pro Street, you're given the 240SX as your starter car, just without a spoiler. I don't like it. Let me just change a few things and... What the fuck? Primitive vinyls are locked from the start. Ooh, this is gonna be good. So I, like some, had a fear where the whole Black Box saga, or at least from Underground 1 to this, is about the life and times of one Ryan Cooper. He started out as a street racer in Olympic City, then succeeded, and after a little accident went to Bellevue to do the same. Sometime between UG2 and Most Wanted, he went to Palm City and had this race, driving Darius' Supra, which ended with the cops ruining the fun. After escaping, he got the M3 GTR race car somehow, and went to Rockport, where he lost his ride after one of Razor's cronies sabotaged it before a race. So he had to win it back by getting to the top of the Black Best, only to find out his friend is an undercover cop. She thankfully helps him escape from the city entirely. Then he went back to Palmas, only to get chased by one of the villains from Most Wanted, who was a police sergeant there, but became a bounty hunter afterwards. Only to get his M3 totaled, all that for nothing. His friend Darius helps Ryan out by taking over the free bottles controlled by his rivals from that race, only to get betrayed afterwards. Oh no. So he takes over his turf and he now rules Palma with an iron fist. And then he went fuck it and started doing legal racing. After defeating Kings, he decided to be a cop and with his acquired skills, he decides to be an undercover wheelman to take down a smuggling ring. I mean, there might be holes in this theory, but it can be possible. But unfortunately, it seems this theory adjusts as, according to Radio Shadow here while idling in free roam, the guy from this game and Ryan Cooper are two different people.
Dispatch, I got a guy resisting arrest here. He's in the back seat of my cruiser. He's not talking and he refuses to take off his racing helmet. Got his ID here. Surname Cooper, first name Ryan. You were on check for priors. I don't know, something not right about this guy.
I can still dream, damn it! Well, I think I held my grievances for long enough. Christ, this is worse than Hardy Grid! Now, I don't mind the yellow filter, but I really do mind the bloom here. For a lot of Inara, this is too intense for me. It looks just as bad as playing GTA San Andreas with the ENB mod enabled. The motion blur isn't even as good as Hardy Grid's. Lots of people had similar gripes about it, but thankfully you can just remove the bloom and the motion blur using 13AG's generic fix for the game. And you didn't bother removing the piss filter? Why would I? I actually like it. It's better than Grids. Ugh, disgusting. Aside from the yellow, the cars still look just as good as Pro Street with no obvious modeling mistakes whatsoever. No missing exhaust pipes, no enlarged headlights, no odd looking fronts. Simply marvelous. The scenery is okay, I guess. While I like the city, everywhere else just looks empty. Fine, but not as memorable. It doesn't help that there's barely traffic in here. Speaking of, I'm acting like Rick Dalton from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood here because fuck, are those the traffic cars from Burnout Paradise? Still, there's worse issues to worry about like the pop-up. Even the shadows can pop up. Made me think either my hard drive or the GPU was having issues again. The filters aren't overall annoying. The ones for Sunset Hills and Port Crescent aren't too bad, but I feel the rest are painful to see. Even with bloom and motion blur disabled, you can't escape this contrast setting. Fuck. Also, whenever you drive to the next area, the skybox shifts and the color filter changes. But if you don't want to wait, you can just press the look back button and it's easily switched. Can blind if you're not careful though. I've also witnessed some micro stutters and frame rate drops. They can happen for a second, but they're still noticeable. It doesn't ruin much, I still got a good experience playing it, but even with a mismatch of a 3rd gen Ryzen 7 and a GTX 960, I still can't get a fully consistent 60 FPS. Now, imagine playing the unpatched 1.0 version with a top of the line PC of the time, say a Core i7-975X paired with a 9800 GTX. Scratch that, how about a Pentium 4 at 6600? Hey, that should be a fun build. The camera is a bit of a problem. It can get a little too shaky. It has a tendency to pull away when you use nitrous. It shouldn't be bad, but it looks so wrong. I feel they learned the wrong lenses from Pro Street. But at the very least, the shaky cam isn't as vomit-inducing as the PSP games. I really like the look of the menus. When you pause, all but the cars become bluey grayscaled, and it's just a good look. The garage one is just so mesmerizing. It's minimalistic compared to earlier games, but it's effective in the execution. Almost gives me old NFS vibes, you know? Though I don't like how selecting video in the options just shows a test card. I kept assuming that's where I changed the graphical settings since dads use those terms interchangeably, but that's actually a manual error. Yet every time I kept falling into that trap. Sound is pretty great. I can't complain much about the engine noises, they're just as good as ones in Pro Street. Everything else is just as good, similar to Most Wanted and Carbon, but with new pop sirens. At least there's something to differentiate. The menu sounds are low-key simplistic, and I love them. It's a lot better than just noise in the previous games or, well, any other racing game that has them. Voice acting, actually make that just acting in general, because this game has FFV cutscenes just like in Most Wanted and Carbon. Old habits never die, huh? It's alright, Mackie Q gave a good performance as your boss, and most did their best with the material they were given, taking their performances seriously. Though there were a few ones, particularly the guy playing G-Mac, who are aware of the cheesy plot and decided to just ham it up. Once I get to the story part, I will surely talk about him.
You lost. Losers, give it up. Always. What, man?
Hey.
I like your anger, man. Let it fuel your racing next time. Racer boy, pick anyone you want. Personally, I'd take Nichols.
Oddly enough, Rose Largo was actually played by two people. In the live action scene, she's played by Heather Fox, but in-game, she's played by Dawn Oliveri of Heroes and House of Lies fame. It's okay if you don't know any of those shows, I don't. At the very least, both actors sound the same here, so unless you've heard this trivial bit, you won't notice it. And I am so glad the police shot is all new. After Carbon using it from Most Wanted, so much so they couldn't say the location of where I was. This is so great to hear it.
All units, the suspect was last seen driving north on Hillside. This call is still code 6. Please switch over to channel 2 for details.
As for music, there's flamenco in here?
Pajarillo en libertad, somos polvo, somos nada. Shake it ligerito, si me pongo flamenco y apuñala por la espalda.
It's more flamenco than the Jungle Flamenco remix of more. Whatever your opinion on this game is, I think we can all agree that the music here fucking rules. Whether it's the licensed tracklist or the original soundtrack, it's fantastic. You got stuff from Airborne with Girls in Black, Justice with Genesis, Asian Dub Foundation with Burning Fans, though instrumental here. It took me a while to get the one with lyrics on YouTube, but it was worth it. The Whip, The Chemist, The fucking Prodigy. Cuba Libre was okay, I guess. Not really fitting though. But what's more fitting is Diamond Life by Taiga. Really fantastic production, never mind the lyrics.
So be patient or end up the next patient. Emergency room, newspaper. The new rappers call them street actors. Music wise, they playing safety. And I'm shooting no safety, aiming for greatness.
And I'm sure you've already heard it, but there's even Pendulum on the thing. Pretty of their songs. Okay, they're from Vinsilico, their most divisive album, criticized for being more rock-oriented than their drum and bass usual, but I still fucking love them. If only they played during free roam. Hell, even the menu songs are awesome too. Okay, maybe not one by Recoil, if only there weren't lyrics.
I'm gonna swing with my eyes shut to see what I hit. I wanna know just how much you hate me, so I can predict what you'll do.
I want you to shut up. But my main gripe is that you can't customize the playlist anymore, but when the soundtrack has banger, after banger, after banger, after banger, then I really don't mind. You also have original music used for pursuits and highway battles, which is all percussions, but has a similar vibe to the canyon races in Carbon. While I prefer the chase music in Most Wanted, these ones are pretty alright, does their jobs nicely. The map songs are a better listen, they certainly make the map viewing a chill experience. Ugh, even then, I'm tired of licensed soundtracks now. Can we get Mick Gordon in here? Well, let's go down this rabbit hole, starting with the handling. We stray away from realism and back to arcade physics, and boy, it sure is something. The handling models all over the place. When driving the stock cars, they tend to understeer. Always. Even if it's a tier 1 car or an old muscle car, they drive like they don't have power steering. It's like they all have front wheel drive. Even when braking, it doesn't resolve the understeering part, but what does is let you go of the triggers while turning. There's your grip. This can actually be a detriment, as proved by the times I hit the outside wall of the corners. Now, with a modestly upgraded car, that issue is resolved, but now I have another problem. It's too grippy. Now, I should be fine with that, but even the fully tuned cars don't drive like the Red Bull cars in the Gran Turismo games. It can actually make driving challenging, and letting go of the triggers only exacerbates the issue. Now, I know there are those who despise this and want to play the PS2 version with a handling model similar to Carbon. Weird hill to die on, but okay. But there are also defenders of it, very few but non-zero still. I know this because I'm actually one of them. Like I said, it makes driving challenging, but in a good way actually. You have to do some quick thinking while approaching a corner, and most of the time, it's quite enjoyable. But I gotta be honest, this handling system only works well in high-speed racing without some harsh corners, but it's still enjoyable anyway. But it's not just the handling that's just WTF, the physics can be too. I've witnessed some little bumps and rolls while racing and being chased. You might think that's terrible, but for most of the game, it didn't make me hate it. Compared to Sharks, this is the good jank, plus it's just funnier. Which kinda bugs me. Most one has a similar physics engine and is prone to unintentionally silly moments, so why didn't this get the same treatment by fans? It's not really the physics that's bugging me, it's everything else! Nitrous is here, now back to being replenishable and have to hold to use it, plus Speed Breaker is back. Pressing it slows the game down and you get heavier mass, enough to get through roadblocks. But what is this bar? So remember in the underground games where you can earn points by doing feats in a race, like doing near misses, jumping, doing clean sections and so forth? In the first one, they're used to unlock new vinyls and pre-tuned cars for a quick race, whereas in the second game, they're used to replenish your nitrous. Well, they're back and therefore making Speed Breaker effective and last longer. I had to look that up and I kept forgetting about the purpose of it. I read a GameFAQs Q&A page about it, but take it with a grain of salt. Still, only used to make the breaker better, I expected more from that. But you can stack and multiply for more points. But if you ever hit a wall, and just that, hitting cars is fair game, you lose some zone bits. I gotta be honest, I only ever use Speed Breaker for when I'm about to go through a roadblock. I just find it pointless anywhere else. But don't worry, the zone points also add to your wheelman status, which I'll talk later. But for now, here's the opponents. Sophie? Wake up and leave that metaphor behind! It was promising enough that it gets challenging early on, with the rubber banding and all that, but aside from the master events, and even then they're not that hard with better car and upgrades or enough restarts, the opponents are so boring as I progress. They tend to get far behind me. Fuck, this can be for the whole game, I don't mind. And then suddenly they decide to actually kick my ass. Yeah, right after I bought my first tier 2 car, a Lexus ISF, everyone just keeps catching up to me. It's like I'm playing Hardy Grid all over again. It wouldn't surprise me if one of the opponents came from Raven West. Oh, you think that's hard? Let me do something for you. Careful, that's a master event. You're gonna have a hard time doing it. I'll handle this. Holy shit, I did it! I knew it was possible! Yeah, after the game went, you know what, you're losing too easily. How about we just tone down the difficulty so that you can actually win? What? That's the exact feature Spire 3 has with the bosses. Okay, I might just be guessing, but there's a chance she was lucky. Even then, there have been normal races later down the line that made me go, did I accidentally join a master event? It isn't just the opponents being hard bitches, it could also be the track designs, they could be bullshit too. As an example, there's a sprint racing Port Crescent where you drive through 2 dock sections, and I gotta say, This handling model isn't good for slow cornering. I just kept understeering while putting my foot on any pedal, and even after all that shit, the opponent just decided to speed away completely. After many retries, this event boiled down to damn luck, so I don't think my fear about it having a narrow difficulty decreaser holds any water here. I understand it now. Now I know why people hate this game so much. It's because it's just too damn hard for them. I don't blame them. Have you seen this shit? But you wanna talk frustration? It's not as good as he most wanted. The cop chases are back, and they are a lot like in those two games. There's the busted and evade bar, cooldown mode, hiding spots, and the pursuit breakers. Even the helicopter is back. However, the heat system here is different. To increase it, you have to do some property damage, excessive speeding, and usual street racing to rack up that cost to state. And you can even do it in free roam. The way better cop cars showing up isn't based on heat level anymore, but by your wheelman level. So it doesn't matter if you're on heat 1, if you're a great wheelman, the feds will show up more often than the pigs. It's an interesting change from beating certain blacklist drivers to getting cop notoriety, though it made me at first wonder why the unmarked cops didn't show up on Heat 2. Other than that, it's still the same. City cops are weak, and the feds are such sadists, plopping in roadblocks, sometimes with spikes, and spawning rhinos to stop you. Weird seeing the shopper appearing at Heat 2. Just like those games, to get rid of the heat, you have to customize your car. And here's a one-up from Carbon. The milestones are back, this time as single events. And they are timed, so that's great. Yeah, that can be frustrating, but it isn't just how difficult the chases can be, but how dumb the cops can be. This only applies in lower heats, but trying to do an objective like taking down cops or raise the cost to state can be tedious when there's only one cop chasing you. But sometimes I don't feel like going near you, knowing full well that you might use a breaker. I'm conflicted. Oh, speaking of pursuit breakers, they work half the time. I had moments where the cops just shrugged them off after using them, damn it. And there are moments where the game took a while to spawn more cars in pursuit, so I had to drive a while the bar doesn't change to cooldown mode because I didn't do the objective. For skips, that's fine by me, makes them incredibly easy, but for the rest, it's daunting. Doesn't help when all the events are timed. But one thing I like about this, even if unintentional, is that you can repair your blown tires from a spike strip by just turning off and then non-car damage in the graphical settings. I genuinely love this game. For the race types, well, it's a disappointment. There's circuit and point races, as well as checkpoint races from Carbon, which is like most Wanted toll booth races, but without the toll booths. It's a really easy moneymaker, so I tend to do them when I see one. But drag racing, drift challenges, and even the speed traps are omitted, in turn replaced by Outer One and highway battles. Outer One is similar to the one in Underground 2, though instead of getting further away from your opponent to win, there you have to get ahead of them for a set time to win. Other than that, it's still the same stuff, even the opponent tricking is here too, as well as the bullshit. However, a highway battle does let you win if you go further away ahead enough. Either that, or stay ahead until time runs out. The battles are high-speed duels with a lot of traffic on the way, and I think this is the best mode in the game. It's challenging, exhilarating, and, dare I say, fun. You can win races, but you can also dominate them by finishing quicker than the required time. Doing so will upgrade a bit of your car or discount the parts prices at the shop. So, there's that RPG element here. The way progression works is that you have to earn in repping races and chase milestones to level up your wheelman status. This is very important for not only unlocking cars, parts, and vinyls, but also story progression. When you reach a certain rep, you get to do a job or two to get the plot going. While I find it okay, it can leave the plot sort of disconnected. Sure, it is my duty to build up my reputation to get their trust, but these gaps in the plot made me go, is this going anywhere? And speaking of going anywhere, time to talk about the Bay Area. Fuck, it looks empty. Like I said, Palm Harbor is the most memorable part of the map. It has all: a stadium, a casino area under construction, the sport, the aqueducts, this train yard, another area under construction. What is this, Toronto? Fuck, even the highway is under construction. It's a pretty small area, but there's more going on compared to the rest. Sunset Hills, take it or leave it. There's a little town and 2 industrial areas, but that's about it. Gold Coast Mountains is the twistiest part of the city, which would be perfect for drifting, if the game would allow me to. Too bad it doesn't, even with tuning. I like the spiral part, shades of Cape Ring and all. Port Crest is a town that I kinda despise, particularly the south part. Just a hard place to get out. I got lost trying to get into the highway during chases. I shouldn't be lost, but I certainly was. There's the aforementioned docks, not as fun as the shipyard in Rockport, and also really hard to do old-style gymkhana with the handling model. You're repeating yourself. Let's get this over with. What's with the traffic? There's barely any! Like, I get it, having a lot of traffic can ruin many races and shut the game a lot, but that doesn't mean I'd let it slide. I've seen more activity in the highway battle races. What's this game's deal? Come to think of it, Most Wanted also didn't have as much traffic in the open world as the Undercover, yet it still didn't feel as empty. Tri-City is about as empty as Mexico in Forza Horizon 5. At least it doesn't reuse a lot of parts from Rockport, unlike the PS2 and PSP versions, and it has more purpose to explore than in Carbon's Palmont City, as there are cop chase jobs to get the loot to progress, mandatory or not. Think Kami. However, unlike in UG2, Most Wanted, and Carbon, there aren't any physical coronas that you can press down on. No, you're invisible here, and the prompt only shows up when you're at its nearest. It's just a weird idea. Why is it here? The game is just full of that. Why this? Why that? And I just hate it. No wonder I went with the tried and true quick select at the map menu. Nitpick, but I don't like how you can't switch filters while moving the cursor. But the worst part is that I can't access it while doing non-event chases. Fuck! The car list is standard for an NFS game of this era. You have your tuners, muscle cars, all the new, and auxiliaries of varying power. It's good to see the McLaren F1 and the Bugatti Veyron in the base game, and Mercedes too. Pros only have one Mercedes in the title, and that's part of a DLC pack. No Subaru though. The Hawkeye impresses in the files, but I guess EA couldn't get the rights for the brand this time. That sucks. Plus, while Ford is an American brand, the European build focuses C and the Escort Cosworth were never sold there, so it's a bit odd seeing them in the American category. At least they didn't put Lexus in the American section, so there's that. A Veyron for 350 grand? Definitely salvaged. In Carbon and Pro Street, the cars are divided in performance tiers, where 3 is the best. Here is the opposite, now similar to Defcon, with 4 being the slowest. In the PS2 and Wii versions, it's the same as in the previous 2 games, plus a few additional cars like the 300C and the G45. The PSP version has a low Firebird. Fuck, it's missing out on stuff. In Sophie's Pro Street review, she said that its customization was a big disappointment, as it didn't have as much options as even Carbon. Unfortunately, same can be said about this games, made worse by how you have to unlock as you progress. There's only a handful of body kits, no roof scoops, only 2 custom hoods, seriously. Paint and vinyls cost money again when it was free in Pro Street, and exhaust pipes can't be sculpted anymore. This just sucks. This is such a far cry from the underground games. It's sad to see car customization in such a state like this. At least manipulating vinyl layers are a lot quicker this time, even if it's not like Carbon and Pro Street. Still can't move multiples at once though. Also sad that upgrading the performance doesn't net you a class switch, unlike in Pro Street, so they stay at that class no matter what. Did you know that there are over 40% of cops in America who admit committing domestic abuse? Who knows how many exactly out there are abusing their families as I speak? Anyways, here's the story stuff. Wasn't that from a few early 90s surveys? Shut up. So Chase tells me about a big race in the Arbor hosted by this guy with a trilby. Seems trustworthy. It was an easy race. It's there I get to know the Mayo brothers, Zach, the hothead, and Hector, the boss and the cooler one. Shame about his choice of hat. After this little race, you get a choice of a free car. Now, if I were many people, I'd choose something that's very practical to race with, like the Lotus Elise, very nimble for a Tier 4 car. But I don't believe in meta, so I picked the Golf R32, the closest I'll ever get to drive an impressive hatchback in this game, bar mods. Seriously, why no subbies here? Oh well, represent. You then get a call from Zach, who wants to challenge you for a highway battle. I don't like how he's calling me a Paro.
6 p.m., Old Cutler Road by the drive. You and me, Pero.
I think you're meant to say pera, una cachorra espiritual.
Gonna blow you away, Pero!
Whatever. Yeah, just assume only guys play Need for Speed, so they made the anonymous Protector guy. Being you're gonna get called that, pretty boy, racer boy, man boy. I kinda wish the language was gender neutral when referring to the Protect, but this is from 2008, so I can't expect much. After winning, he gets in touch with me and gives me a few robbery jobs. Yeah, this game supplies a bunch of car deliveries and takedown jobs. I'll get to the latter later, but the car delivery ones are a mixed bag. Not just in my opinion, but also how they work. Some missions are timed, others have cars with health bars so you must not crash too much, and there are those that combine the two. Ain't that great? But no matter what, they all have cop chases and you have to lose them to make a successful delivery. I really don't like doing these, and the fact that they can have timers or health bars make it worse. Now I have to quickly evade them and or not hit the coppers too much, which is so unorthodox for a black box NFS game. That's my speciality. Thankfully, there are a few delivery jobs without such gimmicks that I can just take my time. Still frustrating like I said though. Bet you're gonna defend the fact that every time you restart a job, you can't skip the in-game cutscenes, huh? No, it sucks and I hate it. It's like the beginning most wanted cutscenes tenfold, and it's tiresome to hear the singer going every time I restart a job. If you can shorten the restart scenes after restart, why not these? I also really wish most of these loan cars have nitros in it. It's always annoying not having it during cop chases. After a few deliveries, I get a call from someone named Carmen, who was involved in that race. Okay, how did you get my number? We never met before! She wants me to have a little race with her. She definitely has a crush on me, but she's gonna be in for disappointment when she learns I'm actually a woman. Unless... Anyway, Chase is getting a little impatient about me just grinding for a rep and wants more info about the Mayos. Dude, I'm gonna. Bitch. Hector calls me and wants a little race to the lighthouse in stolen cars, and I could choose one of them if I win. Now I'm a made man for the Mayos. After being invited to the chop shop, Carmen tells me she isn't really affiliated with the brothers, even though she's known them since they were kids. And Chase is being a dick about me listening to a life story. Great, now you made her think I was associating. Thanks. So now it's time for me to take down the Mayos. Zach was a simple one after another highway battle. He was all alone. Though I don't like these takedown missions. Here you have to damage the car enough for this symbol on top to flash red. Then you get to do a finishing blow. Sure, it's challenging, which is the point, but they take a bit too long for me. They feel they go on forever, no matter how hard I hit, even if they flash red. Man, I wish they had proper health bars. Actually no, I wish it was more like in Burnout 3 and onwards. Hector was a little harder because he had backup. After taking down his man, we move on to Sunset Hills, where I, again, do a few races before I actually progress. Then I get a call from this stranger who wants to do a job for them. And they really want to do it now, and every time we do an event, they grow more impatient.
Pretty boy, we had a contract for a job. I'd hate to have to change it to a contract for life.
Fuck, is everyone here Rachel at the start of Underground 2? I'm driving my own car anyway, so wait a little bit. The mission itself isn't any better. Basically what you do is pick up something and deliver it to someone. Problem is, the stranger keeps pestering me to get in time, more often than not.
Go faster, you don't have a lot of time. Pour it on, baby. I don't know if you're gonna make it. People are getting impatient. You better be just around the corner.
Fuck, are you gonna just tell me to go faster every 3 seconds? Yes. Yes, she will. And it's not just this mission, it happens in a few later ones with timers, and I hate it. There, I got you the thing. Happy? Anyways, the stranger, we later know as Rose Largo, invites me to a race in Sunset Hills. It says it's a tournament, but it's really just a one-race event. Boring. So now I'm infiltrating a gang notorious for stealing cars off the docks, led by the General Morals Acceptance Corporation. I mean GMAC.
Oh, and by the way, none of my missions have ever failed. And I intend to keep it that way.
I'm starting to get suspicious of her. Why is she saying that? Also, Carmen is here for the race too, wondering where the Mayos went. I'm sure they took a vacation to the Bahamas, don't worry. After that, I get a chance to meet the one and only GMAC. He's an ex-cop who got fired for being a sadist, and now is in a life of crime. So much so that no cop nor local wants to touch him, even for a bit. Relatable in a way, I say. And I gotta say, I really love this guy. He's like the best character in the damn game. That hammy personality, that confidence, it's just great. Compared to the rest of the cast, the guy playing GMAC had the time of his life acting here. There's also Nico Rogers for a boxer, and definitely Rose's lover, who is upset about getting pink slipped. Really, GMAX's crew is all hammy, but the boss is just the hammiest, and I'm all for it. I live for the ham and cheese. Have you even seen this channel? Ooh, another free car to pick. Since there's no Impreza, I'm picking my old ride. Carmen calls and wants another race with her. It's going well, but then some black Lexuses show up to trash her ride. That can be good. I saved her ass, and she wonders if those drivers are responsible for taking down the Mayos. Wait, I thought I arrested... Well, they definitely weren't rogue undercover cops, but as Chase investigates, I'm now doing delivery jobs for G-Mac. Well, not before I get the race with Nickel. Meanwhile, Chase gets a call from someone named Chow, who she might have connections with.
Chase Lynn. How long has it been?
Too long.
Now is our opportunity. Let's talk about the object.
Well, let's talk about the object.
Ooh, she definitely has connections with him. After stealing several things, including a cop car, I now have to steal 4 cars from the docks and a rich guy's mansion, and give them to G-Mac's South American buddies in less than 48 hours. At least according to the plot. And I have to do them now, otherwise suffer from the crew pestering me after every time I do something else.
Maybe you just don't hear right, but when G-Mac told you to steal those cars, it wasn't a request. You got it?
G-Mac is so fucking happy about me succeeding it.
That's what I'm talking about. That's how we get things done!
So much so that it gives me the choice to pick another free car. Shame all of them are tier 2, but at least I got enough cash to buy a tier 1 ride once I unlock them. My final purchase before the end is a Nissan GTR. The first versions before the facelifts are just my favorite, so much so that I just want to keep it as stock looking as possible, just with a sleeker, decent paint job and a thin stripe. It's too bad I have to make it look like shit to drop the heat. Rose then asked me for a race at the Gold Coast Mountains. Oh, how nice. Pretty challenging, just like any other race. Oh, son of a bitch.
I'm surprised you're still alive.
No kidding, there weren't actually any sound effects during the crash. So Nickel calmed my car's brake lines and Jack is having none of Chase's dangerous antics, but she reassures that the case is getting closer, talking about something in one of the cars from the shipment. However, said car belongs to Xiao Wu, the boss of another crime syndicate, and I think you know where this is going.
Very dangerous.
Whoa. So now we have the Trions in this game? This butt is all over the place. Just compromised, man. And G-Mac is mad, so he decides to let me drive Xiao's yet to be delivered Zonda and wreck shit up, favoring him in the process. Gotta be honest, I never liked that gaping custom exhaust. Made me think of Goatsy. Don't look it up! After returning G-Max's impounded Lambo, I somehow get a call from Xiao, who wants one of his cars back, one with something special in it. At first, I thought he was talking about the Zonda I caused trouble with, but it was actually something else. Fucking hell, even when I tried to pay so much attention to the plot, I still get lost. This guy has so many cars, I don't know which is which. Spoilers, it's not one of the cars I stole for G-Mac, but to find that out, I have to do a few more races to get to the point. By the way, brought to you by T-Mobile Sidekick. Seriously, there are billboards for the T-Mobile branded Danger Hip Top everywhere in the city. I was fine with Pro Street's product placement, it made sense in the game saying section races. But here it's more distracting because it's actually used in the plot. There's also ads for aftermarket companies and speed hunters. Not a gang, just their blog about car culture and stuff. Not product placement, but there's also ads for fictional politicians who look strikingly like Matt Gaetz and Gary Johnson.
The license to drive? You know, I'd like to see some competency exhibited by people before they drive.
Honestly, the most distracting part. Where was I? Oh, right, plot. As I gain more reps, Xiao grows more impatient, just like any other baddie in the game, and Karma gets even more paranoid. Tell me something I don't know already. And now it's time to take down G-Mac and his man. First is Nico, Rose's jealous boyfriend, with cops added to the mix, fucking hell. And then the double date for Rose and the boss. You thought I was your friend, Rose, but I was an undercover pig. Fucking weeb. With that done, I get to meet Carmen again. We gotta wrap it up, people, it's the final stretch. Turns out the mice have stolen Xiao's special M6 and didn't know about its importance, which explains the sudden black sedans after busting them. And I could just keep it for some reason. This is fine. However, some bad news. Chase is held hostage and Xiao is screaming about his missing ride, so I just headed to him. No harm, no foul, just untied Chase and oh shit!
Oh, now look what you've done.
Chase gone rogue! Chase gone rogue! Yeah, it turns out Chase was just using your FBI job as cover to get the MacGuffin, has the means to a net, using me as lure. Not surprising, considering how much of a nash she was towards me, and how she refused to close the case. I always love a good betrayal if done right. I felt betrayed. What? Nothing, go on. And now I'm being framed for murder. Thankfully, Keller, who only showed up like twice until now, will help me. To what extent? After I escape from this chase, he gets a note from someone that Chase will get into a chopper and leave the place from the MacGuffin. Don't wanna let her get away with this shit. And much like that Nickel takedown job, this has cops break from within. My favorite. It's just a simple mission anyway, just hit her enough times to make Keller call the pursuit off and disable her car. Bingo bango, the game has ended. I expected more, but it's still more satisfying than the Carbon ending. Turns out the briefcase she was after has Child's criminal record in a sidekick. Woo! Kellogg congratulates me and tells me that Carmen was the one who helped him.
I know what it's like going deep undercover. Too easy to lose sight of who we are.
I don't care. I'm resigning and going back to section races. Don't ever call me again. Oh yeah, if you give a shit, in the end, Carmen tells me that she's about to study medicine. Good for her. Now, it's really easy to compare it to previous games, especially Most Wanted. You might say that it's a cheesy, but if I'm being honest, most of that story is just voice messages and a few FMV cutscenes at the start and the end. And I also think that it has a much simpler plot. Now sure, a complex plot doesn't always mean it's a good one, and a simple plot can sometimes be better with a clear motivation and also a twist at the end, but I sometimes prefer some deeper plot. Undercover is not exactly deep, to be honest, it's a bit bloated, but there was a lot going on. It's cheesy, it's cliched as fuck, and I freaking love it! And G-Mag, despite not being the principal one, is a great contender for one of the greatest villains in the Black Box era, right next to Caleb, Cross, and Darius. Y'all are missing out! But despite me leaving satisfied, it's just a shame the game ended with a player not resigning. As for the rest, oh shit, My Cars is back! We are so back, fellers! In case you're wondering, My Cars is a way to freely build cars with the stuff you unlocked in career for Quick Race, and I am so glad that it's back. Anyways, Quick Race is a lot like in Most Wanted and Carbon. Select a track or job you've unlocked, adjust the settings, select a car, and just race or escape or whatever. Pretty fun to do, and I'm glad I can just use any car I have in the garage instead of being stuck with Ryan Cooper's 240SX in Pro Street. What's up with that? Shame I can't disable cops in races, nor use my own cars for jobs that allow me such in career mode before. There was online multiplayer, and only online multiplayer, here in the PS360 versions. If you want split screen, get the Wii and the PS2 versions. If you dare. Unfortunately, the online servers for this game were shut down in 2021, which is way longer than the previous games. Usually it's just 4 years to even 1. Did EA think people actually play multiplayer on this trash heap to justify a long shelf life? Pathetic. So that was Need for Speed Undercover. It's a cliche mess full of occasional glitches, story bits that don't feel connected, very easy races for the first half, and suddenly high ones the next, empty streets, mediocre takedowns, and blooming eyesores. There isn't anything unique about this, not even the visual style, and the customization is lackluster compared to previous games. Of all the Black Box games I played, with the exception of The Run, I think Undercover is the worst of them all, even worse than Underground 2. It's no wonder EA decided to reboot it with a simcade. So why am I enjoying this? Because you're a boring fuck? Fuck off! There are some factors, the soundtrack is one, but it also wasn't always frustrating even during the latter half. And the story isn't a total bore, it's still a cheesy mess that I can tolerate. Even the cop chases were fun to play, if sometimes bullshit. This isn't a case of so bad it's good, it's legitimately good, even with the jank. It's not as bad as Sonic 06 really. Sure, I need to play better games than these so-called 7 out of 10 games, even though it wasn't rated 7 out of 10 overall, but it's fun to play such games. Can't say the same about the PS2 version though. But if you think it can be better, there's a modding scene for the game, though not as extensive as Most Wanted. It's still similar, using binary and VLT to add new cars. Though unlike in Pro Street, you have to create a new save after installing a car mod, that sucks. I can however recommend the Reform mod, which fixes the lacking customization, adds new cars, overhauls the handling, why is the file on their Discord server? Nah, fuck that, I can't recommend it anymore. First that multiplayer revival for Grid, and now this? I get the former, but what's the problem with putting a fucking drive link in a text file? I have a lot of servers in my account, I can't justify adding another. Next time, I'm playing as a janitor. There, I tried, now punch me. Why? Because I defended the game and you didn't like what I said. I still remember you when you called yourself Paula. The blonde frizzled hair, the Miami Dolphins jacket, the tendency to torture me. I used to think you're my evil twin. But it seems you've gone too soft. You may be a kitsune now, but that doesn't mean you are strong. The point of conversion was to make you invulnerable, change your mind to be less inhibited, but now you'd rather be a bitch who wants to be punched. The way I see you, you'd rather be a slave, never wanted to say no anymore. Just do what anyone tells you without questioning, and frankly, it scares me. Honey, come on, it was just a playful rib. Why did you have to talk down to me like that? Why are you so bitter all of a sudden? You want to know why I'm like this? You want to know why I'm bitter about you being a submissive bitch? Because I hate this damn world. I was once a naive little person just doing game reviews, and then I decided to get a clone of myself, and everything went downhill. Burned houses, kidnappings, demonic possessions, corporations selling my genetic copies to the cops, and even death! I talked to so many therapists and none of them helped me. They never believe my stories. It's like the world doesn't care about me. Well, I don't care about it either. I hate everything about this house. This empty Undercover room. I hate everything about you. Hate everything about Vincent. And most of all, I fucking hate myself. I hate every single piece of my flesh. I just fucking hate it. Sorry to ask, but what happened that made you hate him? He physically abused me! That's what happened! He hit me because I lost a match yesterday. I was booked to lose, but Vincent didn't want that. He wanted me to politic my way to victory, but I just refused. You should have known that pro wrestling is like a theater play. None of it is real, except for the botches and short lifespans. When I did what I was paid to do, we went to a bar for drinks. Well, I only got drinks. He was a designated driver. He drove me to a cliffside with a great view of the city. I thought at first it was a nice romantic date to cheer up after my loss. But I only realized the truth when it was too late. I was so drunk and vulnerable. The best time for him to beat me senselessly. He told me that if I want to push, always pester the higher-ups and just abandon me. Punishment for doing the job. I had a fucking meltdown over that. I thought he was the one, but the whole world just fucking hates me. I don't hate you. You may be at fault of some things, but that was not your fault. I beg of you, Pinkie, don't lower your guard. Don't be completely submissive to Vincent, please! If you want better company, that is the right time to ask. I'm leaving for Seattle for a whole month. Lauren lives there and wants to have a talk with me. I'm sure you'll be a great helping hand. That's great. I'm going with you.
Did someone say Lauren?
Vincent! No, you must be hearing things.
I thought I heard that Lauren was living somewhere now. I'd love to meet her again.
Vinny, love, I never asked this before, but why are you obsessed with Lauren? And why is she obsessed with you?
Because not only was she my old apprentice, but she's also my niece.
If those rumors are to be true, then our love is over. Let's go, Sophie.
Oh, she isn't coming with you. I have something to show her.
Don't you fucking dare.
I bought tickets to Disneyland.
Fuck off! Is this how you apologize for causing me to melt down? Fucking tickets to Disneyland? You and I are through. I don't want to see your fucking face ever again. Come on, Pinkie.